repairs on string instruments, whether that's an upright bass, violin, or a guitar, or basically anything with strings on it. And that can be any major repairs from gluing a neck back on to a cello, or just a restring for a guitar or anything like that.
I am the brass shop manager here at CIOMIT, so I handle all the trumpets, tubas, trombones, the fun things. I get to beat out dents and solder things back together with fire and molten metal. It's beautiful.
I mostly repair woodwinds. I'm also the woodwind shop manager, so I do all the quality controls, so anything any other woodwind technician does goes through my bench, and I make sure everything's playing well.
I do from clarinet, saxophones, a little bit of bassoon. I originally started with brass work and did that for a couple of years, and I can repair everything from French horn, tuba, trombone, euphonium, and trumpet, as well as my specialty now, which is accordion, which I've only done for 3 months, but learning quickly.
So I had actually been interested in instrument repair out of high school and had looked into going to school for that straight away. But at the time that I was graduating, it was, a lot of the teachers wanted to push you towards college. It was a little bit frowned upon to go to a trade school.
I originally wanted to be, it was an ed major for about 3 weeks and decided that the public school system just wasn't for me. There's always been that little bit of a teacher inside me, and I do quite a bit of that here as well. But as college progressed, I decided that education wasn't going to do it for me, and neither was being a musician, because there's no money to be made there. So had problems with my clarinet, and that's when it all started with the instrument repair trade.
So I was 18. I was in college, taking classes full time, and it just wasn't for me. Writing papers and all that kind of stuff wasn't working for me, and I just didn't fit that mold.
I started at a traditional high school and I failed. I didn't do too well. I just didn't like it, and I ended up going to an alternative high school and realized the alternative ways of learning and how satisfying it was.
Writing papers, lots of reading of books and stuff like that, it didn't quite click with my learning style. I didn't fit the typical school mold. I'm a hands-on learner.
I found CIOMIT to be a perfect fit for me because I don't learn well in a classroom setting. I needed to be working with my hands, and at CIOMIT I was repairing the instruments as I was learning, and through doing that I was ready to go out into the field the day I graduated.
I like to get in there and really figure out what I'm doing and have somebody showing me how to do stuff, like one-on-one really helped. And
I love music. That's what I knew I wanted to do with my life for several years, since about 15, 16 years old. And I knew I wanted to do something with it, and I've always worked well with my hands. So being able to make the parts and to put things together and make them work. I love solving puzzles, and I love just making things sound and look good. And so this job has provided all of that for me.
I was blessed in this trade is that I've always loved music. I always loved being in the band in high school, college, and this allowed me to stay in that world, in that culture, and surround myself with people who also love instruments and love music, and I get to use my hands.
I realized that nothing outside of the music industry was actually going to satisfy me, make me happy, and I needed to be doing something with music and something with instruments. And instrument repair became that outlet. It was a way for me to pay my bills, make the money I needed to make, as well as it was something I love and something I'm very passionate about.
Like any trade, this one requires passion and dedication. So if you're gonna get into any trade, make sure it's something you love.
So I'd say find something that you're passionate about and chase after it. Find something that works for you.
I love seeing the look on a customer's face, especially trombone players. When you hand them a slide that really moves like glass and hasn't moved well for them for a while, they pick that up and they just light up.
When a customer comes in, especially a student, and their instrument wasn't working, and they have this look on their face like, I'm not good at this. I'm never going to be a musician. I really want to, but I can't. I'm not very good. When it turns out the entire problem was with their instrument. So when I get that instrument in my hands and I fix it, I hand it back, and then they play it, and they're like, it's not me, it's the instrument. So cool.
So every day in brass repair presents a new challenge, a new puzzle to figure out. Every dent is going to react differently. Every piece of brass is going to move differently. And you kind of have to slow down and let the instrument speak to you so you can really feel the way it's moving. I love the brass. I love the way it moves. I love the way it sounds. It's beautiful metal.
I like to offer trade school to people because I know that not everyone does well in their basic English, math, science classes. Sometimes it's difficult for people to learn, but other people, like myself and the others here, we work better with our hands.
Don't be ashamed if you need, or if to chase a path that is different. You know, just because you don't fit the typical mold doesn't mean that you're not right.
Trade school, I think, is something that you dive into faster and you really get a good hand on what you're doing, rather than taking extra classes, spending any extra money, and not really knowing where you're going.
So my strongest advice is to get good training from one of the repair schools, the apprenticeship route, whatever, this trade or any other. Make sure you receive good training.
There's a large generation ahead of, or behind us that has been doing this for 40, 50, 60 years. They've been doing it forever, and a lot of those guys are on the verge of retirement, and so there's a big need for craftsmen to know what they're doing.